My name is Simon Shogren. I'm the Director of Technology here. So today's session is going to be all about faculty access for the web, which is going to be your environment for doing grades and assignments for your students, and also to keep track of their progress, seating charts, all that sort of information will be included in this environment. How many of you are familiar or have heard of faculty access before? The mentors have. Many of you may have used other types of vendors for this type of information. What are some other options? I know, Bob, you had mentioned you'd use Clarity. Anything?
Yeah, some stuff. I forget the name of it.
Okay. Okay, and those are other great options as well, but for at Wakefield, it's all about Blackbaud, faculty access, net classroom, and thereabove. So we're going to talk about faculty access for the web. I have this very short presentation, just a little bit about some of the valuable tips and tricks. We're going to go over just a little bit of general information about how to get started. I have a temporary password for all of the newbies that I'm going to give to you so you can log into faculty access just temporarily to do some testing, just to get a sense of the environment and how it works for you. And then before you leave today, I'll tell you how you can actually get your actual credentials so you can start planning your classes will be added. You can start actually planning your classes and your assignments and grades and all that stuff. Okay, so.
Yeah, us as mentors can still access from last year so we can say them.
Yes,
okay.
yes, you should be able to. So when we get started actually doing our hands-on work, the mentors can log into yours and show your environment as well. Okay, so faculty access for the web is an extension of the Registrar's Office and the Education Edge. Here at Wakefield School, we have a purchase agreement with Blackbaud, and there's various parts to various, environments. We have faculty access, we have Net Classroom, which is more for the parents and students to monitor their classes, and for the parents to monitor the students' grades in the classes. So they have access from home. The parent can log in and see how his or her his or her daughter or son is doing. So it allows teachers, advisors as well. So advisors of students also have access, administrators to stay connected to students, enter grades, enter attendance, and more. So it essentially interlinks all of the different audiences here at Wakefield, whether you're a staff member, a faculty member, a parent, student, etc.
I just want to add that I think that sounds very exciting.
I appreciate the enthusiasm. It's very early, but I appreciate it. Okay. All right, so tips and tricks you can start taking advantage of today. All right, so we're going to do some hands-on work in a second, but I want you just really to look up front. If you want to take some notes, you can. Just FYI, this presentation I will be uploading to my Google Docs, which I'll talk about later on, which is an online portal where all this information will be, so you don't necessarily have to write word for word. You will have access to this presentation, okay, which I've shared to all teachers on campus, okay, and I'll reshare to the newbies if you have not received it yet. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when you get into faculty access is there's going to be an options menu item, okay? From the options menu on the navigational bar, you're going to click general. In this options section, it's going to be all about setting up how you want your students to be shown, okay? Whether first name, last name, nickname, it's all about setting up how you want to display your students' names, etc. in the system, okay? So it's kind of self-explanatory options, I guess, within this section. But it's going to be the first thing that you want to do if you have a preference, I guess, for how you want to display your students in your gradebook. Okay. Let's see. Another part of the setup options is all going to be about setting up, if you have a way of how you want to set up your decimal points for your grades, that sort of thing. It's pretty much from 0 to 3. And all of this you'll see when you do the hands-on work, but it's pretty much just setting up how you want your grades and students to be displayed. Okay. I'm not going to read word for word here, but it's more or less you can do this anytime. If you want to update your grades with a new decimal position, all you have to do is re-enter that one grade, and so you can update the decimal for that. Okay, a new feature that came about last year was alerts and faculty access. Faculty access for the web is where you can actually set up alerts where if a student's average drops below a certain point or percentage or grade, you will get a set of alerts that will show up on your homepage. Simon Shogren. Hey. Yes. I'm currently doing some training for the new teachers. Are they coming right now? Are they being delivered? I'm not sure what you want me to do. Should I? Yes, they can. I can have one of my mentors open a door where they can maybe just bring the laptops through. So that.
Oh,
She turned around and said,
Dorothy.
that is solid delegation right there.
Okay, the door I put to the side of the library is where they
I'll
can
go
bring
with
them
you.
through.
I'll go with you.
And then the mentor will lead them to the appropriate location.
Really, isn't this a two-person
Okay.
job, don't you think?
I think
No, you
The
think?
older
Sounds good,
mentor.
thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
bye.
Alright,
the
okay.
senior.
Okay,
Which door am I opening?
the side door where.
On the library?
Yeah, and there should be a proper,
Oh,
like
in the
one of those,
library or on the?
in the library, it's the back.
You're not sure it's a one-person job?
Oh, good.
Alright, there you
Or
go.
I feel bad, I didn't do it.
Okay,
That is.
we're talking about alerts. Okay, so just in general, there are various alerts that you can set, okay, that will pop up when you first log into faculty access. And these are important for those, especially if you have students that are not doing too well grade-wise, or if you need to send grades to the registrar, an alert will pop up letting you know you need to do that, okay? And this is what I just mentioned. A big one that a lot of teachers, this is a big alert that seems to come up a lot for teachers if again, if the student has an unacceptable performance, that information will show up. And of course, you determine what an unacceptable performance is based on those options that I just talked about. So you can go in and see the student's information and see kind of the grades of what's going on with this student. Yeah, we're going to talk about all of these different categories. It can seem a little bit complicating in the beginning, but what you need to think about are only the things that pertain to your class structure. Every teacher is different. Everyone has a different makeup in their class. So it's important just to focus on the features in faculty access that you need. You don't need to go through and learn every single thing, but some of the major points are what I'm going to talk about that are important to how you want to set up your gradebook. So grading scales, do you have a certain grading scale that you're familiar with that you want to use in your class? Categories, of course, you have, if you have tests, quizzes, homework, that sort of thing. Assignments within those categories, individual assignments within those categories, if you have test 1, test 2, test 3, etc. For the future, once you set up this trimester or this year's classes, you can copy the information over from one year to another. You don't have to recreate the information. There's an easy kind of switch where you just can copy everything that you've done to set up this year to next year. That's the copying categories and assignments.
I have a question.
Yes.
When we move from one trimester to the next,
Yes.
grades start over?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, and
Well, depending on the class that I'm not sure what you teach, if you're teaching upper school or middle school, or depending on the class that you teach and what area of teaching you're in. I don't know if it's what do you,
I teach English, not
Okay.
grade English.
okay. Mentors can probably help. Is the grade, the class that they teach is year round, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But at the end of each trimester, does the grade start over?
You get to pick, try 1, try 2, try 3, so you get to see them all the time.
I don't know what you mean.
Like,
Yes,
once
so-
trimester 1's done,
Sorry.
trimester 2 starts, but if you need to access trimester 1 to look at it,
Okay.
it's still there. Like
My
my
stuff
stuff is still there
starts
from
with an
last year.
average of a 78,
Okay, good.
but you would average, like, there's a report card area, as I remember, I could be speaking wrong now, but as I remember, you do get a final average.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
and you don't do that, the registrar does.
But then
Yes.
you don't, you just enter your trimester.
So, okay.
So we're
So
just
if
worried
you
You
about
got a
which
68 in the first trimester, you don't start with a 68
Right.
in the second trimester.
And at the end of the year, you don't mess around with,
Nope.
okay, you just put each trimester grade in.
Yes.
Okay.
And then defining and marking column weights and assigning marking column weights. I'm not sure if you have a preference of if you want to set your grades in total point structure or if you like to have a percentage of each assignment or grade associated with the student. So it's either two things. You can either set everything up as total points, or you can have each grade for each category have a certain percentage of the overall grade that the student gets at the end of the year. Which is what I just talked about there. And we'll do some hands-on work with this in a second. And this is more about just using it if you want to use total points, which some teachers prefer to use, or if you would like to do the latter. And there's just a simple checkbox for that to occur, and you go in, you add each of the categories and the grading scale that you created, which we talked about, and then how many points and the weight for each of the assignments. I'm not going to go over all of this. This is a little bit of in-depth information. Again, you can access this at any time. I'll be sending it to you. About factors, when you create assignments, you can give them factors within a category. When creating a new assignment, the factor defaults to 1, or you can change it as necessary. So for example, if you give a large unit test or an assessment which you would like to count in the gradebook twice, you would give the assignment a factor of 2. A factor of more than 1 will multiply the number of times the grade is counted towards the overall grade. And a factor of 0 will allow you to preserve the grade. For instance, there was a teacher that, if you can just take him around the back and leave him, and maybe knock on the door. I think David might be back there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, propped open.
Or it's propped open. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so if you have 10 quizzes or 10 quizzes in your trimester or during the year, and you want to drop one of them because maybe students didn't do well or didn't study for a quiz, you can put in a factor of 0 for one of those categories, and it will drop the lowest grade.
I have a question.
Yes.
If you, for instance, have some extenuating circumstance in which 1 or 2 of your students can only be accounted for 10 of those quizzes or 11, is there a way to go in by individual students and not give them a 0 for that, but grade them on a separate scale because they only have 10 quizzes versus the rest of the class who have 12?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's complicated.
That's the short answer.
Okay.
You can put an X in that box.
And then it just
And it
doesn't.
was-
Yeah,
If you put nothing, it works the same way.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
matter.
Laura, with these systems, you can fudge just about anything, don't worry about it.
Okay, comments as well can be left for every assignment. This is the best time of year for teachers reading comments, which I'm sure your heads or your mentor can talk to you about. That comes later on. But in terms of reading comments for assignments, you can also do that. And again, these comments can be seen in Net Classroom. You can either make them visible or not, depending on how you want them to be displayed to the student, and the teacher and the parent can also see. That's the whole purpose of really the comments section, I think, for the assignments, in my opinion.
It's for the student, no, it's not for the assignment, right?
For the student to see what.
Right, so if
Right.
you get a kid that gets C's all the time and she gets an A on a test, I can write, great job, so-and-so. Will she see that?
You can mark whether you want her to see that or not.
Okay. So that's the gist of it.
Yes.
It's not a comment about the assignment, it's a comment about the kid's grade for that assignment.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
And Simon, all the question, not a statement,
Yeah.
all the our classes are all gonna be preloaded, all with the
Yes.
names and all that stuff
Yep.
into this. We
Yes.
don't enter.
No.
Just not the category.
Yeah, just the
Yeah, we do
assignments,
the
yes, all the students and
Gotcha.
everything. I'll show you an example. I have one class loaded for me
And
already.
you can copy, like, if you do it for this class, you can copy it here in the class.
Keyboard shortcuts is probably self-explanatory. We don't need to go through that. Let's see here.
Of
course, you can custom sort your gradebook, you know, from depending on last name, how you want to set it up. Self-explanatory here. And there's simple buttons for that to occur for you to select.
So if we wanted to set it up like in our seating chart, we can even do that, right?
Yeah, and that's something I'm gonna show you guys as
Do we
well.
have photos in this?
Some students have photos, some don't. It really depends on the registrar if they upload the photos or not.
And we can do seating charts too.
Yeah, I'm gonna show that. Yep. So you can obviously see the student information through the seating chart, which I was gonna show you here in a little bit. All their information, the courses, and that sort of thing. Let's see here. Talked about the copying function. TalkDex was designed to keep keep things simple, so you can copy pretty much everything from one trimester to the next. You're never recreating anything. You're really just either adding assignments or deleting assignments depending on your class structure, but you're always able to copy information you've entered in for the first time. There's never any recreation. And this, this is from one year to the next. It's almost like the classes are archived under your username in the system. It's always on the server all the time. Okay, you can always access this information. Just a few things that you can actually share. Of course, you can upload assignments, you can share, attach. Just instead of emailing the students through an email portal, what have you, you can attach actual physical documents to an assignment. And like Word documents or PDFs or have you, or PowerPoints, you can attach those to the assignments that you actually create. Okay.
So if we give a worksheet and we just attach it to that, how do we attach it to that?
Shared documents.
It's just a girl jumping off the diving board. Okay, what was your question? I'm
No,
sorry.
but I'll ask you.
Okay. Well, there's here on this screenshot, so after you enter in you'll see your assignments here listed, and then whether or not there's an attachment, you'll see there'll be like one of these attachment symbols next to it, but there's a location impact access where you actually attach the documents physically to the assignments, which will.
Do we have, those documents obviously can be attached off your disk and your hard drive?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Do we have a scanner here, scanning capability, like does our copy machine scan stuff in?
It's an arch one.
So we can do all that fun stuff, bring PDF documents into our computer so we can do stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a scanner here you can use. There's also a scanner in the business office. I have a personal scanner of mine. So if you ever need to do that, you can come into the tech lab and do that as well. That's rarely is that used, honestly. It sits there for the purpose of there's actually two of them on either side.
And all the software is loaded on?
Yes,
So if I
those
go
two
on-
computers on either side, this front center table has the scanner software. So all you have to do is come in, log in, and then it does it automatically for you. You can send it to yourself by email, however you want to do it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we'll look at her one more time. Okay, just a few, this point is kind of like the halfway point, like halftime. Let's actually dive into some of this. The mentors can help at this point. Just go through, maybe the mentors can log into yours and show a little bit about your environment before the
This is mine
newbies
from last year.
get in. So, Michael, you're in three, good.
I don't know where we get it.
Wakefield School.
I went in through the website. You
Yeah, I actually,
There are a couple of different ways to get
I'll
there.
go over that after you guys. Just show. I'll
Show 'em
finish.
on
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm very slow here.
Okay.
Go back to
And
the screen.
then our community
Go back to the
faculty
screen,
staff.
because I'm